Hi there. Oh, look what
Hey,
beautiful. Wow, what beautiful sky you have.
a little bit cloudy also, but no, it's okay. It's okay. We've got a nice sun from this afternoon.
Wow, it's gorgeous. Looks beautiful. All right. So I'm a little cold here in Connecticut. I got my hat on. Can we start, Nico, by introduce yourself and where you are, and then first question is your history, how you grew up in the wine world.
Alors, I'm Nicolas Rossignol from the same estate, Nicolas Rossignol. So right now I'm in Pomard, and I'm gonna turn, and you're gonna see we are in Pomard les Noisons, and I will show you all the difference because you're gonna see also Pomard, you're gonna see Volnay, you're gonna see some Pomard from Écreux. Okay,
Wow.
but I will show you that after.
Okay.
So I'm in the middle of my vineyards. So the history of the estate is easy. In fact, I'm the fifth generation of winemaking. So you're gonna tell me you have to do that job. But when I was a kid, in fact, I was not so pleased with this type of job. Of course, when you see your father, how the hard job is, you say, "Well, I don't want to make this kind of job." And so during my studies, my father said to me, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I don't know." So at one moment he said to me, "Okay, let's go. You try the school winemaking, and if you enjoy and if you're interested, okay, stay of that." And that was really great. I was lucky to meet some great guy like Vacheron, like Ramonet, like Pierre-Yves Collin, all together in the same school. So I was more close to my grandfather, and definitely I was so pleased with this job. So I continue with that, and of course I see now my job in a different way, and for nothing in the world gonna change my job.
Please don't. So tell us about the estate, where all you are, and what wines you make.
Alors, I'm a kid of Volnay, so the main part is from Volnay, of course. My grandfather was, the father of my father was from Volnay. The mother of my father was from Pomard. So that's why the two main parts is Volnay and Pomard. So we have 8 different Volnay Premier Cru, 8 different Pomard Premier Cru. But on the other side of my family, my mother is from Permont-Vergelès. So that's why also I produce some Allos Corton, Savigny-les-Beaunes, and Permont-Vergelès. So now in total, it's about 35 different wines produced from Volnay, Pomard, Beaune, Permont-Vergelès, Allos Corton, and Savigny-les-Beaunes.
Wow. And you make a Bourgogne Rouge also, right?
Also, yes.
Yeah, okay.
The
Wow.
main part of the Bourgogne Pinot Noir come from Volnay and Pomard. I will try to show you that. You've got you've got the castle of Pomard right here.
Okay.
And in fact, my Bourgogne is just under the castle. So still the slope, but after that you're on the flat place, and that's the part where I come from the Bourgogne Pinot Noir.
Okay.
Yeah, like that you can see just behind me also Pomard. So you've got quite far. I will try to show you. In the middle of the slope here, it's Volnay.
Okay.
The village of Volnay is in the slope of the mountain. As you can see, Pomard is down. Okay. And then very far here, you've got Meursault. So you've got Meursault and Pomard near at the same level. And then after you have Volnay in the middle of the slope. So here, that turn is the Pomard Rugien here. And then you move, and the middle of the mountain stop the difference between the Premier Cru and the village.
I see.
Now, all of that, because it's north exposition, it's quite high, is village, Pomard village.
Okay.
Okay? But when you are here with the east exposition, middle of the slope, you have the Pomard Rugien, Pomard Premier Cru Jarolière, Pomard Premier Cru Champlain, all these parts.
Wow. That's incredible. The other day when we talked, I think we could see Meursault. Is that just a little bit of fog?
I'm really sorry about that. For today, it's too cloudy, and I think it's not going to be easy for you to see.
No, that's okay. Just curious about the weather. And then exactly where you are again?
I'm in Pommard, les Petits Noisons, Noisons and les Petits Noisons. And as you can see, the soil is very red.
Mm-hmm.
There is many iron in the soil.
Okay.
So that's why the soil is so red. And we are on the top of the mountain. So, you know, in Burgundy, you've got top of the mountain, you are in Village.
Mm-hmm.
Middle of the slope, you are in Premier Cru or Grand Cru. And then down, you are in Village again. And flat place, you are in Bourgogne.
Uh-huh.
So here we are on Pommard Village, but on the top of the mountain.
Okay.
And here the slope is quite slow. So that's why, in fact, we keep nice, quite deep soil with a part of clay. So that's why most of the time it gives to you a Pommard really charming and very round. Not the typical Pommard of what people thinking with a big tannin and rustic expression. Here is definitely more delicate because we are source exposition, so the opposite of what I show you in the other hill.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite warm, and you get beautiful maturity quite easily. So
okay.
That's why the tannin are definitely softer.
You said south exposition.
Exactly.
Okay. And how does the iron in the soil affect the taste of the wine from that vineyard?
Most of the time, you give more body to the wine. For me, I've got my Volnay Centenot in the same spirit. I've got my Pommard Epno in the same spirit. I've got my Permant Vergelès Premier Cru Les Fichots also with this type of red soil and iron. And for me, iron most of the time give you a wine with more a little bit more density. So it could be. If it goes quite far, it could be the structure,
mm-hmm.
but most of the time it gives you the density in the middle palate. Brilliant.
This is going to be a little masterclass in Burgundy and soil, and I hope I'm up for asking the right questions. So we talked a lot about soil when we were over there, and can you explain the clay and the limestone and how that varies from place to place among your properties? And for people that don't take notes, I'm going to put this on YouTube later, so it'll all stay alive.
It's not easy. In fact, we spend time now talking about clay and limestones, and as you can imagine, of course, everything is clay and limestones in Burgundy. After that, there is different type of clay and different type of limestones. A few months ago, about 1 month ago, I was in New York for La Polée, and it was a great event, and we had a beautiful seminary with a great Brenna Kinley, great geologist, American geologist, and we're talking about that. And I wanted to show with only Volnay Premier Cru. We decided to show Volnay Premier Cru Clos des Angles, middle of the slope, big piece of clay in the middle of these vineyards. After that, we moved to Volnay Premier Cru Chevret, half clay, half limestones. And we finished with Volnay Cailleret and Volnay Ronceret, limestones. But in Cailleret means in Old French petit caillou, okay. Small stones. And in Ronceret, la ronce means blackberry bush. So it's more big rocks. And even if it's limestones, you can see some Cailleret, really Aryan wine, really delicate, really in the air. And at the opposite, you have a Ronceret, more black fruit, and with big structure, because of the big limestones. So to go more simple things is for me clay most of the time it's quite warm.
Okay.
And it gives to you wines with more charming. Okay? Mm-hmm. More softness, more roundness. After that, when you start to get some limestones, you get some spice, you get some complexity in your palate, in the density of your wine. And of course the limestones, imagine that's more cold. So it gives to you most of the time wines more precise, more tight, and more, yes, with a little bit more spicy also.
Okay.
So it depends if you enjoy more the fruitiness and the charming of the wine. So your palate is more for the clay, or if you prefer the freshness, the tight, and the energy, and that's going to be more the limestones.
Okay, so
Clay, limestones.
that's beautifully said and very succinctly. Another question along those lines: as a sommelier, you often don't have a lot of time to explain things to people, and you get a question that says, "I like Côte de Beaune. What's the difference between Volnay and Pommard?"
Most of the time people thinking Volnay is feminine and elegant wine, and Pommard is more masculine and rustic wine.
Okay.
No, definitely is more complex than that. I can show you some Volnay, like Volnay Centenot or Volnay Clos des Chênes, really massive, really masculine, and with back structure. And definitely you must be on a table eating with, or you need to aging the wine. At the opposite, you can have some Pommard Argilière, some Pommard Pézerolles, really delicate, really elegant, and you can enjoy quite young, quite early.
And is that due to winemaking style or soil?
No, not necessarily because of the winemaking, because of the soil. Yeah. Okay. And you can be in Volnay, Pommard, Chambolle-Musigny, Vosne-Romanée, you can find one thing and the opposite. It depends the type of soil you have. Of course, the impact of the producer and the vinification impact the wine, but the way you make the wine. But I'm lucky to have all these different Volnay, all these different Pommard. Blind tasting, I cross the two appellation. Most of the time, people will make a mistake.
Yeah. Okay. So it just means more work for us to learn all the different appellations. So then to step back even further, what's the difference between a red from Côte de Nuit and a red from Côte de Beaune?
The price.
I know what your wines cost. That's not always true.
That's the joke of Dominique Lafont. So sometimes I'm taking again this joke. After that, seriously, if we're talking about again geology, Côte de Nuit's got a quite old stones. Okay. We're talking about million years. Mm-hmm. But it's Côte de Nuit is old stones and hard stones.
Oh.
So it give most of the time more complex and more spicy wine.
Okay.
With more complexity. Côte de Beaune is more young stones and more soft. So that's why, again, I will show you. That's why you can easily find some valley. Here it's a valley.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And it's Pommard. But you can find also this valley in Meursault. You can find also this valley in Saint-Aubin. You can find this valley in Pernon-Vergelès. There is many places where there is a valley. Just because with the compression, when the Burgundy creates, mm-hmm. The compression of the different hill make these kind of things. Mm-hmm. And you haven't got so much valley in Côte de Nuit. So most of the time, the spirit is Côte de Beaune is more red fresh fruit, easy charming, and Côte de Nuit is more spicy and sometimes more gammy wine, more complex wine.
Mm-hmm. So a friend of mine in Bergerac actually told me once to judge a winemaker by their entry-level wine. And I try to get a Bourgogne Rouge from a great winemaker like yourself on my list because it's affordable and it's the way a lot of people will meet you. So can you just talk about how you do your Bourgogne Rouge and just the idea of that?
Alors, I really agree with that. I mean, for me, make a great Grand Cru or great Premier Cru, it's normal. Yeah. Nothing is magic. It's just normal. There is more job on the basic level. I mean, on the basic terroir. After that, to be honest, I'm really lucky because, like I told you, 90%, 95% of my Bourgogne Pinot Noir come from Volnay and Pommard. Mm-hmm. Just next to the Volnay-Pommard village. So it helped me. Definitely, it helped me. Yeah. So after that, I work exactly my Bourgogne like my Premier Cru or my village. Everything. So most of the time is 100% this stem. Okay. The age of the vineyards, the younger, we're replanting last year. So we not make the harvest right now, but the younger is about 15 years old, and the older is about 75 years old. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
So most of the time, that's for my regular Bourgogne, and it's 100% distem. It goes in a vat, of course. I keep the origin separate. The part from Volnay, the part from Pommard is not in the same vat at the beginning. I make the vinification really separately, the aging separately, and then we mix and we blend for the bottling. And the part from the top, because I've got also some Bourgogne from the top of the mountain of Pommard, I keep them also separate. To be more, of course, the picking is not at the same time, and also to be more precise in the expression and the extraction of each terroir. And after that, everything goes in barrel. No new oak. I don't want taste wood in Bourgogne Pinot Noir. But I'm really interested by. I'm sorry, there is a lot of wind.
That's fine.
But I'm impressed by the aging in barrel. It's definitely more complex than leave the wine in a tank, because you have less oxygen, so it's still fruity, charming, but you didn't get the complexity of the aging when it goes to the old barrels.
Gotcha. Okay.
And after that, I've got a special. Sorry for the wind.
No, it's good.
I've got a special Bourgogne called Héritière. Héritière is a very, very old vineyard. Was planted by my great-grandfather in 1922 under the castle of Pommard. So I make a specific cuvée, and I didn't want to call it vieille vigne because, vieille vigne just means nothing. There is no law for vieille vigne. You can call 5 years old, 15 years old, 90 years old, you can call it vieille vigne as you want. So that's why I put the name L'Héritière. And here it's 50 to 60% wall clusters during the fermenting.
Can you talk about your use of whole cluster? Because that was another big conversation that we had.
Alors, Romain Conti used this technique. So right now is really fashion. I mean, everybody wants to make wall clusters because it's very fashion.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm start this technique in 1995.
Wow.
And I was not so happy with the result. It was not a big success, to be honest. Just because my grapes was not enough maturity to do this job. At this time, that was my second vintage. At this time, my father making the vineyards, and he used to make the vineyards to sell the grapes to negociant, to big company. So when you're farming to sell the grapes, and when you're farming to make wine, is not the same story.
Yeah.
So that's why I stopped this technique, and I was back on 2002 with this technique. For me, wall clusters bring energy to the wine.
Okay.
So after that, if I've got naturally from the terroir all this energy, I don't need to use this technique. Just if I compare with the food, is the fish and the meat, we cook very low temperature for a long time. It's great.
Yeah.
You have more texture, more perfume. It's completely different. Do you think we must cook all the fish and all the meat like that?
No.
Now, try a scallop 4 hours in the oven.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's going to be a great result. That's why, sometimes just chack is enough.
Yeah.
So that's why I have some terroir. I'm never going to use wall clusters.
That's amazing. It's a really good analogy. Honestly, go listen to this again, people, because I've had dinner with Nico, and you absorb more every time you hear him talk. So this is a weird question, but for you in particular, you make so many wines. How do you decide where to sell them? Like, do you take all of Ronceret and say this is going to New York, or do you take it and spread it out between the markets? And how do you decide that?
I don't decide anything. I mean, I leave people enjoy tasting the wine and enjoy, and they're interested by what they want. The same wine could be in Tokyo, but could be also in New York, and could be in Oslo, because people enjoy the same type of wine. But after that, it's more depend what style of wine you want. And more than Nicolas Rossignol wine, I'm really interested and I'm really focused to keep the personality of each of them. Okay. So that's why I produce some light, red, fruity, and easy, charming wines. But at the opposite, I've got some quite massive and powerful wine. So it really depends the style of wine you want.
I see. Okay, so it's the buyers who get, and then you manage it.
Yeah.
So Anna Christina at Morel Wine Bar asked, is it whole cluster or full whole cluster at Les Héritiers? And where is your aligoté?
Alors, in Héritiers is 60% wall clusters most of the time. After that, to be honest, with the global warming, like last year, 19, I increased a little bit to 70% of wall clusters. Wow, okay. Because I love so much the genetic of these very old vineyards. Mm-hmm. So that's why I can use so much wall clusters. Okay. And my aligoté come from the top of the mountain of Pommard. I saw you earlier, and down in the slope on the flat place of Volnay. Cool. So it's a mix of two different type of soil. One a little bit younger vineyards, about 45 years old from Volnay, but is 95 years old from Pommard.
Okay. So where are the vines at right now? When did you have bud break, and where are you at right now in the vines?
I'm here right now in Pommard les Noisons. So it's a Pommard village, but a village above the Premier Cru. It's a beautiful place for us. That's why, in fact, on my Pommard, I've got 3 different Pommards. One regular, one Pommard les Noisons, and one Pommard les Vigneaux. And les Vigneaux is a little bit more far to that way. And I'm really close to Madame la Loubise de Roy, so it's a good neighbor. And that's terroir I show you earlier, but again, because of this really dark soil, really red soil, make a really special wine. That's why most of the time on the village, I blend different vineyards to have the spirit of the appellation, mm-hmm. not a specific vineyards. When you are in Premier Cru, you are more interested by Cailleret, Centenot, Taillepied, Ronceret. You don't care if it's Volnay, Pommard, or whatever. I mean, the impact of the lieu-dit, le terroir, at the end is more important than the appellation. You're asking me the difference between Volnay and Pommard. Right. If we're tasting Argilière and we're tasting Centenot, blind tasting, you're gonna tell me, okay, Centenot is the Pommard and Argilière is the Volnay. No.
Wow.
But the soil gonna give you that. Yeah. So that's why here, on these vineyards, Pommard les Noisons, I make a specific cuvée on these vineyards. This one, and I've got one, that's the younger part. And in fact, I've got an older part, a little bit more far. And, I blend the two vineyards to make this cuvée.
Cool. So normally this time of year, what are you doing in the vineyards for vineyard management, and how is that impacted under the quarantine?
Alors, to be honest, we're still lucky. Even with the quarantine, we can still to work. After that, we manage the workers differently. I mean, each guy has got his own car, going in his own vineyards. Okay. And he make the job. We're talking by phone. Okay, I check, but when they are not there. Well, for the moment, it was easy because finishing pruning, finish to replanting the missing vines, thing like that. Now, as you can see, yes, it start growing. You can see the grapes right now. So now the next job will be to do something like that. I will show you. We will have to go in each vines and take off. Here you see there is 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. So 1 is too much. We're gonna take off 1. Okay. Okay. On this part is very old vines. Mm-hmm. So they're gonna suck the power of the vines, but not doesn't give you some grapes. So we're gonna take off that also. So now the next job will be to clean a little bit all of that.
That's a big job.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's called
yes, it's a big job.
So that's called a sucker, what you just removed?
Sorry?
Is that called a sucker that you just removed? The little thing?
Épanfrage, tiens. Exactly. One person asking the word is yes, épanfrage.
Okay, cool.
So we take off all the bud if there is too much grapes, or if there is no grapes, we have to take off.
I see. Okay. You posted a picture. This is a very kind of basic question, but I've been curious about it. You posted a picture about some new vines that you got, and I see that there's wax over the top end, but it looks, why don't the roots dry out?
Alors, in fact, the wax is to protect, tiens, I will show you. The wax is to protect the bud before the growing of the bud. So, tiens. You get the view?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in fact, yeah, there is the wax on all of that to protect.
No, we aren't. There we go. There we go. Thank you.
Okay. So we just yes, we're just planting that. It's a missing vine. So we're planting here, and there is the wax to protect before the growing. And then when the bud will start growing, in fact, it's gonna help. It's gonna go through the wax, and it's gonna help.
Okay.
That's it. That's why.
But when they ship the vine to you, the roots don't get covered. They don't dry out. I think you trim them back, but they don't get dried out.
Alors, again, for the moment, in fact, it's very dry on the top of the soil.
Okay.
But quite far is still wet.
Okay.
So we decided we planting or not. We are a bit stressed about that because we had a lot of rain during all the winter, and now with spring is dry and dry. So we were not sure about that. But I said, okay, let's go. We're gonna planting, and if we have to, we're gonna put some water. It's a low. We can do that. Not when it's a vine, but when it's a new plant like that. You can help the growing with to put a little bit of water.
Right. Well, I'm kind of at a half an hour here, and I'm trying to keep them short so I don't take up people's time too much. But somebody was asking, do you make a Savigny-les-Bains? No.
Oui.
You do?
Non, mais yes, I make some Savigny-les-Bains village and two premiers crus, les Fourneaux and Lavière. Savigny-les-Bains premier cru Lavière.
And then Becky Sue Epstein is a journalist. She asked, do you soak the roots before you plant them?
Oui.
You do?
Ouais.
Okay.
Alors, in fact, the roots we put in water, clay, and special things to help the roots to growing easily.
Oh, okay.
We call it pralin. And then we cut just before planting the vines. We can't keep all the roots because at the end it's gonna be completely dry and disappear. So that's why we have to cut, and some new roots restart and help the vines to growing.
I see. Okay, cool. And then you're allowed to water the first 2 years or until like that. Okay. Okay. Well, I'll let you go, but I really want to say thank you. It's been nice. People are locked up inside for the quarantine, not locked, but have to stay inside. And it's really good to see some sunshine. And I think looking at vineyards is very optimistic because the vines don't stop. And thank you for making wine for us for next year. And just, do you have anything you want to say before we go?
Eh ben, stay at home. It's really important. I hope to see you, all of you, soon. And we're gonna still drink a lot of good wine. Don't worry.
Very much so. All right. Thank you for your time. It's really nice to see you again. Thanks. And be well. Thanks. And everybody, this will be on YouTube sometime today. Thanks, Nico.
Great.
Take care now.
Bye-bye. Thanks. Bye.